Well, now to plans for a data center here in Indianapolis. No, not that one. This one. But we get it. I mean, there are a lot of these popping up across our city and our state with varying degrees of support. So that's why tonight people living here in the Martindale-Brightwood neighborhood are trying to decide where they land on this proposal to transform this land, once home to a drive-in movie theater. Our Alex Almanza is in studio leading our data center coverage. So Alec, what is the temperature there?
Well, Scott, it was a room filled with fierce opposition against a West Coast-based company that wants to transform more than 13 acres of vacant land. Tonight, the company's CEO trying to woo over residents. Leaders with the One Voice community organization who helped organize the meeting told 13 News and other media that we could not film Tuesday's meeting, saying it was to encourage open discussion. Inside, residents pressed the Los Angeles-based company Metroblocks on how their project would truly benefit the neighborhood.
Well, we got some questions answered, but I don't feel that they were questions that the residents in 46218 wanted to hear.
Metroblocks CEO says the data center will only use a few thousand gallons of water to start, but then use a closed-loop water system. He says the 75-megawatt facility won't release any water into the community, adding this facility doesn't have a large footprint.
The first thing that's different is that this is small considered by today's standards, both in terms of acreage and in terms of the power envelope. The second thing that makes it different is that it's intended to be multi-tenanted.
Metroblocks plans to rent out server space to third-party clients like hospitals, banks, or cloud storage. For residents, it just comes down to neighborhood benefit.
Is this data center safe for our community? And I believe the answer is yes. Secondly is, what can you do in terms of investing in our community? How can you help us, the quality of life around the center?
As of now, the project is still in its early stages, with no formal petitions filed yet. Until then, residents will keep the floor open to discussion, but after Tuesday, some aren't convinced by the sales pitch.
You know, they keep saying it's an empty lot. The lot has been empty since 1983. The lot is fine. It's fine the way it is. It's not hurting anyone. It's not helping anyone, and neither will they.
This meeting is just one of many that will be hosted to allow residents to ask the developer questions. Meanwhile, the CEO says the reason they chose this vacant property is because the last thing they want to do is rezone farmland. Scott?
All right, Alex Almanza, thanks so much. This meeting comes just 24 hours after Google pulled the plug on its plans for a massive data center in Franklin Township. Nearly 470 acres compared to the 13 acres that we've been talking about on the Sherman Drive-In site. Google announced it would not be rezoning that property last night, just hours before the City County Council was set to take a vote on this billion-dollar investment. Now to horrifying allegations tonight out of Shelby County. A mother held on a multi-million-dollar bond charged tonight in the death of her toddler. New court records are now shedding light on this investigation. They say that Sophie Igo called 911 to report her baby's death. Police arrived and found Igo holding 2-year-old Jasper wrapped in a sheet. They say he looked like he had been dead for quite some time. That was outside. Inside, police say they found unsafe and unhealthy conditions. The mobile home infested with insects and covered in trash. Police say they discovered decomposing material in a crib that they believe to be from Jasper's body.
Unfortunately, we deal with a lot of these cases, and what I will say is they are horribly heartbreaking. They're horribly heartbreaking for families. They're horribly heartbreaking for the people that work on them, law enforcement. What I will say is that people need to be diligent. They need to be parents. They need to take care of their children.
Igo tonight is charged with neglecting Jasper and her 2 older children. The judge in the case issued a no-contact order against Igo with her 2 surviving children. Right now, they're in DCS custody. Igo's trial is scheduled to begin in January. Tonight, a man is under arrest and now facing multiple felony charges after this shooting. 3 people were injured over the weekend, and tonight, we've got new video of the gunfire from the Marion County prosecutor. Now, here in this video, you can see someone fire shots into a crowd of people before grabbing another rifle and firing more shots. Now, we want to tell you tonight, 13 News is not showing the entire video because of its graphic nature. Now, 21-year-old Carlos Contreras is charged with 9 counts, including attempted murder and aggravated battery.
We're fortunate that that individual didn't have great aim. And so this case to me illustrates all the different challenges we face when we have conversations about gun violence in our community.
City County Councilor Michael Paul Hart posted on social media following the shooting, saying criminals need to face real consequences. Prosecutor Ryan Mears told us more needs to be done at the state level to help law enforcement officers. Prosecutor Mears says police are looking for a second person involved in this shooting. So if you saw anything, if you have any information about this case, please call IMPD. Tonight, new safety measures are now in place along the Monon Trail. Neighbors leading the charge. This is where the Monon meets 52nd Street. People living near this area installed some temporary barriers in the center lane and repainted bike lanes. So between May and August, 3 cyclists were hit at this crossing, all during daylight hours. They really tell us that something's got to be done here.
I've tried just being mad about it, and that isn't very helpful. So I thought I would try to do something and at least get people talking about it.
And now they'll spend the next few weeks tracking speeds and crosswalk conflicts. They'll then pass that information along to Indy DPW. City leaders will then decide if this area needs a permanent safety solution. Here's a look at the other stories making headlines right now. Tonight, police are looking for another suspect after a mass shooting early Sunday morning. Tonight, police have not identified the person. They now say they believe one of the men who died was the primary shooter who hit 5 people, including the other man who died. Investigators say another person who may have been the intended target shot and killed the primary shooter. Tonight, Indiana's Attorney General is urging school superintendents to act on reports of teachers making inappropriate social media posts in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder. Todd Rokita says they're looking into several cases. He says it would be wise to remove teachers reported to his office. Critics have said firing an employee for social media posts could violate the First Amendment. USA Gymnastics is now moving its headquarters to Noblesville. The organization just announced it's leaving Indy for Innovation Mile. That's where it will build a training and wellness center. Innovation Mile is also home to the Pacers G League team, the Noblesville Boom. And there's a new playground tonight on the near north side of Indianapolis, thanks to the Colts. More than 150 volunteers from the team, IPS, and other organizations made it happen. The playground at Butler Lab School is the 17th playground project from the Colts in communities all across our city. Remember, you can find all of the latest local stories anytime on our 13 News app.